Hey everyone, welcome back to the Offbeet Life Podcast. My name is Tahir.
I'm Aneesa.
We are back with episode number 2 of the Offbeet Life Podcast. What are we talking about today, Aneesa?
Today we're talking about our vegan diet evolution.
Ooh, fun stuff. But before we get into that, we want to remind you, we are on Instagram and Facebook. We are on YouTube. And of course, we have a podcast, the Offbeet Life Podcast. Please follow us and subscribe. We bring you different things on each medium. Light dive on Facebook and Instagram. We dive a little bit deeper with our YouTube videos, and our podcast videos or our episodes are the deepest dive into any topic that we feel that is relevant. So let's jump into it for today.
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about our vegan diet evolution, we're talking about where we started when we started off in veganism and where we're at now. And it really is an evolution. Things have really changed over the years. I've been vegan for quite a while, for 9 years now, and you've been vegan for?
7 years.
7 years, yeah. And we independently became vegan before knowing each other. So our stories and the type of food that we ate and our diets really were different before we met. And then we continued on with our evolution when we got together. So that's what we wanted to share with you today, and to give you some reasons as to why things have changed over the years for us.
For sure. So the first thing, if we're going to talk about evolution, we need to go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. So we'll tell you a little bit about how we started individually, and then when we met and what happened since then. So why don't you start off with your evolution initially, before we met? What a world, what a sad world. Before we knew each other, like.
Pre you and me, yeah. And it was me
so
and
sad.
It was you, yeah. So I started off with veganism. Actually, the reason I came to veganism was really for health reasons. I was just kind of, doing searches on YouTube for, I think I was just looking for ideas on smoothies, and then I came to some vegan people that were talking about these green smoothies, and they were putting spinach in their smoothies, and my mind was blown. I'm like, oh my God, vegetables in your smoothies? And nowadays, that's pretty common. But at that time, it was still kind of wild to me. And so what I did was I was really looking to find the most optimal way to what I thought was optimal to be healthy, to slow down the aging process, all these kinds of very superficial things that I think are still reasonable things to care about. So I came across some raw vegans, so people that were eating raw food diets. They were eating really high fruit-based diets. So I came across the big YouTubers like Freely the Banana Girl, also who was it? Fully Raw Christina was another one, really, really big, and they're still huge on there. And they eat really, really high plant raw food diets, lots and lots of fruit. So I was like, this is amazing. I love fruit. I'm gonna go for this. And so I was just plowing down the bananas, plowing down all the fruit. It was really fun. I definitely didn't have to worry about satisfying my sweet tooth. It was wild. I used to crave, cake and other dessert things. And then when I went to eating this high fruit diet, my sweet cravings completely went away because they were being satisfied with these high levels of natural fruits that I was eating, and the natural sugar in the fruit. So I really enjoyed that for a while, and then winter came. And I was like, okay, I don't really want to do that anymore, because when it's winter in Canada, it's really cold and you don't really want to be eating, raw foods. So I kind of started adding some cooked meals to my diet at night. So I'd have things like a lot of potatoes at night, or rice, really, really simple whole food meals, but they were not particularly balanced, if I'm honest with you. So I did that for at least a year or two. I even did raw till 4, where you eat raw food all day and then you eat a cooked meal at night. I did that for a couple of years too. Never really, supplementing or anything like that. I was just kind of, whatever people were talking about on YouTube, I was like, okay, that sounds cool. As long as it was vegan food and as long as it was natural whole food, I was doing that. And my performance in the gym was incredible doing this, because again, I was all carbed up, just so many carbs. And carbs aren't bad, but it was there was a lot of glycogen in my cells. So I did that for a number of years, and then I started to introduce more of a balanced approach, so eating more natural fats and things like that from nuts and seeds. I started doing a lot of research. I was always researching, and actually not just YouTube research, but actually finding doctors that were talking about the best way to eat.
So scientific research.
Yes, the real stuff, right? So that's when I was like, okay, maybe I don't have to be this hardcore. Maybe I can actually eat other food. I could eat beans and lentils and rice and other kinds of things. So I started to incorporate more of that when I then met you.
That's right. So before we go into that, I'll tell you guys quickly about myself and how I ate. So I actually became vegan when I was in Australia in 2012. No, 14. Sorry, that was a lie. You became vegan in 2012.
Yeah.
So I was 2014. And initially, I was making do with just a lot of simple stuff. I was never a cook, so I just prepared food. So there's a lot of simple stuff, like for breakfast, it was either smoothies or like, some kind of healthy cereal, granola, oatmeal, things of that nature. For lunches, I was doing more salads, different types of salads. I'd use, I'd buy pre-baked falafels and pre-made, just, kind of crumble them on there, mix it in, okay, boom, got a salad. And then for dinners, I would basically cook like I did before, just without the meat. So I try to add in, at the time they had like either veggie burgers were just starting to come out a little bit, little veggie bites, falafel stuff. And there weren't a ton of options when it came to going out and eating, but your Middle Eastern food, there's still a lot of options. Your pastas, it's all the same food, you just don't have the meat. So I was trying to keep it as simple as possible, eat like how I already ate, and eliminate the meat products to make it easier for me. I wasn't about to I didn't do recipes and going online. Like I wasn't.
You weren't sauteing onions and garlic?
No. Garlic baby. That's
okay.
an easy one. Yeah. So that was that, and then Aneesa and I met. Now at the time I ate out a lot more. That's another thing I'll add to my evolution. I ate out a lot more. On average, I'd say about maybe one meal a day. At least every other day I'm eating out. So that was one thing.
What were you eating out?
Sometimes it was about convenience. So sometimes it was like salads, going and having a falafel wrap, having a rice plate or something with potatoes.
Rice bowls. Oh, you did Chipotle a lot.
Chipotle, there you go. Yeah, convenience was really important still. So, I'm working all day, I'm out all day. I wasn't going to spend a lot of time cooking, and if I came home, I was tired, I needed something quick. So I'd pick up food on the way home, or I'd come home and make something easy. So that was it until we met, and that's when, my life changed. Like I was mind blown. So we met in 2015.
Yeah,
2015.
Yeah, midway through 2015, and so then we started like eating together, and then we got married, and then we were now like having our own kitchen together and preparing food and things like that and eating meals together. So what that looked like at the time was we'd have some convenience foods, like vegan convenience foods, because they were starting a little bit to come on the market. So we might buy things like, I think there was one brand that had like vegan meatballs, so we take the meatballs and we mix them in with like tomato sauce and like, rice pastas, and then we throw in a ton of veggies and stuff. So those were really delicious meals. They were really good, actually. And we used to eat some things like that. Like that would maybe be a couple of times a week we'd eat something like that. I was making a lot of things with, tofu and mushrooms and like sandwiches and burgers and things like that, but all like made from home from scratch, making homemade burgers, like vegan burgers. We would eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of pastas, and like a lot of pastas with sauces, like making different kinds of sauces out of like things like roasted red peppers, or making sauces out of, cauliflower, like an Alfredo, so like healthy things, and just kind of experimenting, but trying to make like things that we used to eat when we were non-vegan, veganizing them, and also just taking them up a notch in terms of health by adding in lots of veggies and things. And we were doing a lot of oatmeals for breakfast, smoothies, things like that too. And then
the big change before you go into the big change for us and for me especially was I started eating out a lot less because Aneesa was like making all types of meals, making sure I had a lunch, making dinners, and so now I was introduced to somebody who can actually make food quickly, tasty, healthy. So I was eating out a lot less. That was a big change. Yeah. So then, and she controls the kitchen. So basically, I am just along for the ride. As long as the food is healthy and it tastes good, I was good. So she would experiment, try different things, and we went through different phases. But all of them were pretty much led by you, right? Like you led the phase. I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I'm game to try that.
Yeah, I'm always the cook, and he does the dishes. So that's kind of like our balance. But he's always been really great about just, okay, this is what I'm into now. This is what we're trying to do. This is the research that's supporting this idea of how we should be eating. And then he's like, okay, cool, let's do it. So it's been great in that way. So actually, speaking about that, so we, a couple of years ago, I want to say it was like beginning of 2018, we started really getting into juicing. And in my past evolution, before we met too, I had ebbs and flows of doing a lot of juicing and then not doing a lot of juicing, like when I was doing raw and stuff like that too. So I had taken a break off of juicing, and then in the beginning of 2018, we were like, let's eat raw food. So we actually went to a raw food diet for a month. We tried it out.
Oh, that was wild.
Yeah, we did it in January, which is a really bad time to eat raw food. Again, if you live in Canada, it was really cold.
That was my first ever diet, I can say, officially. Like,
we weren't doing it for weight loss though.
We were not, but I've never dieted.
Yeah.
Like, followed a specific diet. It was just a well-rounded thing, and all of a sudden, we were on a quote-unquote raw food diet.
And it was an experiment, right? Like, we were working with a naturopath at the time who really advocated that. And there's some research to support that maybe that can be very good for detoxification or for, health issues and things. So we thought, well, why don't we just give it a try? And what we did differently than what I had done in my past life of doing raw food was I wasn't doing like high fruit. We were doing like lots of green juices, like straight up greens, not a lot of fruit in the juice. We would do smoothies. We were eating salads, lots and lots of greens. We'd have fats, like we'd have more fats. So we'd have like avocado. We do dressings, like salad dressings I'd make from scratch with like nut-based dressing. So we're still getting our fats and we're still getting our calories in every day. We were doing chia pudding was the other thing we did a lot of then.
Yeah, that's right.
So, so that was really interesting, and we felt like crazy amazing. Like, it was next level. Like, we always felt good being vegan, but what would you say? How did you feel on it?
Oh, wow. I felt amazing. I remember I told you that both of us related to the fact that we never felt sore anymore.
No.
So we'd work out and we wouldn't feel sore.
Like literally no soreness, to the point where I thought I was under training, like not lifting enough weight and stuff.
Yeah. The next day we're not sore. I wasn't tired playing basketball. So I'm playing in leagues with my friends and I'm on the court, and normally, you get tired after a certain amount of time. You come off and you take a rest, somebody else goes on, you go back off. I wasn't tired, but I was just coming off just for the sake of, subbing and letting other people play. So I was like, okay. And I sat there and I was like, I'm good to go whenever. And someone would look over, hey, you ready? I'm like, yep, I'm ready. And I never got tired. I felt mental clarity as well. I felt really sharp. Now, this could be for various reasons. It could be the fruit or the low digestive, I guess.
The work that we had to do from a digestive perspective.
Yeah, it could have been that. It could have been the gluten.
The lack of gluten.
The lack of gluten, yeah. So we're not entirely sure, but we can tell you how we felt, and we did feel great.
Like, I really would say that we felt like superheroes. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But there was one big issue.
What was that? We didn't love our food.
It wasn't that we didn't love it.
The pleasure was gone.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough to keep going. Yeah, we did enjoy, warm meals still, and not having those at all. And I was struggling also to feel full. You were really struggling to keep up. Every day I'd come home and be like, listen, I need more food. I'm still hungry. And you're like, okay. And then they're like, okay. Every single day I was like, nah, this is not enough. I need more. And yeah. And I came to the point where I was like, look, I'm doing this because of you. So you want me to keep doing this? I need more food. That's it. And then I'd walk away.
You're like, this is the problem. You need to fix it. So yeah, it was, so we did it for a month, and we had intended to do it for a month. And at the end of the month, we're like, we do feel like superheroes. This is probably amazing for us and our health, but we also want to live, right? We love food. We love enjoying a meal together. We love feeling excited about the food that we're eating. And I don't think we felt excited at that time. It was like, no, we're just nourishing ourselves. This is just nourishment. And that is really what food is supposed to be. But I mean, in the world that we live in our culture, like, food is more than that. It's not just about nourishment, it's about pleasure and things like that too. So we left that after the month that we had committed to doing it. We felt amazing, it was a great experience. But then we went into, we transitioned from that to doing more like raw food throughout the day, and not being really dogmatic about it, but being like, okay, we'll have our smoothies, we're gonna have salads, we're gonna do the chia puddings and things like that. And if that feels good during the day, amazing. And we'll have our cooked meal at night. That was very balanced. So we'd have, rice and beans and pasta and veggies and things like that. But all like whole foods, everything made from home. We would do burgers, like all the other things that we were eating before. So eventually we then, moved away from that, and we said, okay, well, we're just going to kind of go back to our balanced vegan food. And so we would not necessarily have salads probably more in the summer for lunch, because that felt good. So we were going back to what kind of naturally felt good. So eating all those cold foods, especially in the colder months, didn't feel that great. So we'd still have smoothies and things, but that might be in an afternoon after a workout. But we're generally having things like oatmeal for breakfast. We were doing more rice and beans and veggies for lunch, and then kind of something similar at dinner, just changing up the grains, maybe adding lentils in instead of beans. So just having a diverse type of plate, and then again lots and lots of veggies, and then fruits for snacks and stuff.
I'm a little different than you, so I want to really emphasize that people are different, and everybody has different reactions on how they find pleasure in food. So Aneesa doesn't like to eat salads in the winter. I have no problem with salads in the winter. I have no problem with smoothies in the winter. So whereas Aneesa, is very offensive to her. So we tell you that because you're going to be the same way. You're going to have your own things that feel good and don't feel good. And so it's really important to listen to that. It's one thing to do research and follow guidelines and whatnot from the science, but it's also important to listen to your body and know what you like and what you don't like. Because at the end of the day, you do want to feel happy when you're eating food, right? So,
speaking of happiness when you're eating food, I love soup. I love soup all year round. I could eat 100%, and every day I could eat soup, some kind of soup. Pretty much the same soup, yeah. But this guy over here feels very offended when I bring out soup in the winter. In the summer. Or you don't want to eat soup every day, even in the winter, which is kind of annoying to me, being the person that's cooking and having to do things. So I don't get to eat soup as much as I would love to.
Drink soup. Can we start to say eat soup? It's drink soup. Okay, you're not eating soup. Okay, you're not chewing. Soup. You are slurping and you are drinking. It's a liquid. It is not chewing.
No, but I don't like the pureed soups. I like the ones that have like chunky with lentils and vegetables and all the good stuff.
No,
so he's not into
that.
So again, we like different things, and sometimes when I do make that, I force it on him and he doesn't want to eat it, or sometimes I will just have it and then make him something else. But everybody likes their different things, and we try to find some balance in between. But where we're at now in terms of our food choices and how we prepare food in our kitchen is we definitely do follow an evidence-based nutrition plan. So what that means to us is we're really diving into the research, and that changes all the time. Like there's new information coming out all the time, and we evolve with that. So we want to make sure that we eat a really healthy diet that's going to optimize our health, make us feel great, that will help us hopefully reduce our risk of chronic disease, that will help us to live a long and vibrant life. That's our hope. So we try to make the choices every day, most days, that do that.
Absolutely.
So one of the other things too is we don't do a lot of juicing anymore. We did celery juicing before. We tried all these things for a long time, and we gave them really lengthy trial periods with us. And what we found is that it doesn't need to be that complicated. You don't need to go through the time and the effort and the expense of juicing. We rather eat our whole food. Keep the fiber intact. That means we can still have smoothies. We still have smoothies all the time. But we are trying to eat just like we eat the whole plant. We're eating the vegetable, we're eating the fruit, and we also try for diversity. We really want to have a diverse plate when we look at the week, when we look at the month. We're having lots of different grains, we're having lots of different pulses.
One of the goals that we've set for ourselves, you may have heard us talk about this in our videos or in our guide, our plant-based guide. If you haven't gotten that, check it out. Quick plug. Is half your plate should be fruits and vegetables. So about half your diet should be fruits and vegetables. And the other kind of rule, if you will, is diversify, eat the rainbow. Eat as many different types of plant-based foods as possible. A variety is so important. There's no rules around that variety, but as much as possible. Mix it up. Beans, lentils, different vegetables, different fruits, because they all contain different nutrients that are fantastic for you. And they taste great too. So
yeah, and so that's where we're at now is we just make it really simple in the kitchen. We're eating all those different things, lots and lots of diversity. We're making sure that we have fats from whole food sources, things like avocado, nuts, seeds. We try to diversify those too, because they all have different things in them. So I think we're now at a place that we feel really good. We make minor tweaks here and there.
Yeah, we feel really great with this. And what I'll say is that while we're not dieting or anything like that, we do try to eat, still relatively raw-ish during the day. We try. And we also try to remain as gluten-free as possible.
Yeah.
Especially during the week. On the weekends that will change, and I'll get into our weekends in a second. I think I should cover that part.
Yeah.
It's really important. But we do stay gluten-free as much as possible.
Yeah, and we're not dogmatic about it, but we do notice a difference when we don't have gluten in our diet.
Yep.
When we do have it, and we don't feel terrible about doing that, like we feel like it's okay, and that's part of balance. But when we do it, we enjoy it when we have it. We eat it with like love and happiness and all the good stuff, and with no guilt. And then the next day, then we're like, oh, we're feeling a little sore. That workout, that I'm not feeling that limberness in yoga the way I normally do. That kind of thing does happen the day after we have gluten. So there might be something to that.
Small sensitivity or something like that.
Yeah. So that's why we try to minimize the amount that we have it, but we don't completely eliminate it either.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the reason why we don't eliminate it is because we love gluten. We love things with gluten in them. And while we do eat clean, we actually did the math. If you do the math and you have 3 meals a day, and that's 21 meals in a week, we would eat, I would say about one of those meals will be outside. So we will eat, at a restaurant. We'll try to go on a little date night or something. So about once a week, we'll go enjoy vegan food outside. And vegan food has come so far. The evolution of vegan food, the technology out there, the different types of food, the mock meats, restaurants popping up everywhere. So we love food. We want to indulge in these things. And we want to go out and support these restaurants and eat their amazing food. So we will eat that. And then maybe once a week also we'll make an indulgent meal at home. So if that's 2 meals out of 21, 95% of our meals are still following the whole food plant-based diet, which is what we want to do most of the times, because that is the way to optimize our health, at least for us. We feel great. Health is important to us. Aneesa makes it taste good, and you can, believe me, if you learn, hopefully some of our videos will help. There's other videos out there. You can make healthy food still tasty, but we still like to indulge a little bit.
We do.
And how much you indulge is up to you.
Yeah, and just to speak really quickly about all of the things that are even available now in the grocery store, it's just in a regular grocery store, at least where we live, you can get, things like vegan butter, you can get all kinds of mock meats.
Oh my goodness,
it's just incredible. It's crazy. The world now compared to even 9 years ago is just, it's insane.
1 billion plant-based milks.
Yeah.
Creamers.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so what we do is typically once a week when we're making that indulgent meal at home, that's when I would, pick up like Beyond Meat sausages or burgers or something like that, and we'll have those at home for dinner. And then we would eat that one other meal out per week that is, more indulgent from a restaurant. But that's kind of the way that we like it. We look forward to those meals, we enjoy them, but we also really enjoy our healthful meals. And we also really enjoy the healthful meals because the whole food meals, because we feel our best on that. So it doesn't feel like, we're compromising. It actually almost feels like a bit of a compromise or cheat when we end up eating the junkier food, but we also look at that as being part of balance, that you still need to enjoy and try these things. And if you have to, you have a little bit of a less limber yoga practice the next day, the meal was probably worth it. So that's okay too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's our food evolution and the vegan food evolution in general, kind of. But our tips kind of moving forward, or for you guys, is that there's a balance. There's a balance between, research and science, and you should do your own, right? Look into that, learn about food, learn about recipes, and try them all out. But you have to also listen to your body and see what you like and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So research is important, listening to your body, and finally, everybody's motivations are different. So our motivations behind eating vegan food is that, well, we do believe in the ethical side. So that's one of the reasons why we are vegan. But when we eat plant-based food, vegan food, we want it to be healthy and it to nourish us. Other people may not feel the same, right? You may just eat food for pleasure and that's it. And that's okay. There's no judgment here, right? Because the information is out there. We'll always suggest eating as much whole food plant-based as possible because we think it is the best way in terms of optimal health. But you may want to eat, out more. So find what works for you based on your motivations, your research, and your body.
The other last tip I'll give that will go on with that one or tie into what you're saying is whatever choices you make, however you want to, prepare your diet and eat your meals, I might suggest don't have guilt over it. Enjoy your food, be excited about it, and eat it with that intention of happiness and joy, because we're so blessed to have this food on our plate. Don't feel guilty. Like if you're gonna go and have that vegan burger or fried food or whatever you're having, go for it, enjoy it, eat it with love and happiness, because that makes a difference in terms of your digestion too and your experience of having that food in your body. The other thing is, for us, we don't worry about calories or anything like that. We know that when we're eating just really good, healthful food, we're eating until we're full, we're feeling satisfied, then everything else falls into place. Our weight is managed well and things like that. Even we have our indulgent meals here and there, but we don't worry about that. Like, we do not worry about these things. We just make the good choices each meal, every day, and eat it with love and intention.
Yep, that's it. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining us. Before you leave, do check out these other videos over here.
And subscribe up here.
Also, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram and Facebook for much, much more. Thank you so much again for joining us. Until next time on Offbeet Life, see ya.
Bye.